The human eye cannot see more than 30 frames per second. This is fact. You can't argue with fact, and if you do, you probably take the initiative to look past all the nonsense. Dead Rising 3 is an open-world survival horror game by Capcom Vancouver. I never played the first two games in the series, but I am familiar what it's supposed to be. It was a launch title for the Xbox One, now it's on the PC. I never read any reviews on the game prior to playing this, so hopefully my first impression will be as unbiased as possible, but as a former console exclusive, my expectations are quite low. So let's take a look at this PC port. The game follows the events of the previous two games. People get infected, zombify, and multiply. Now you're stuck in a town full of zombies and you have 7 days to escape before the military wipe it off the map. If you're expecting this to be a survival horror game like everyone says it is, you'll be disappointed. Guns and ammo are plentiful. You can get them practically anywhere. You also have some other items at your disposal and you can combine stuff together to create more powerful weapons, and this also makes them more durable since you can only carry so many items at a time. You can do the same thing with vehicles, and you need all of these things because there's a lot of zombies to kill. The more zombies you kill, the more prestige points you earn, the more levels and attribute points you gain, and you use these points to upgrade your character. So it's more of an action game than survival horror. On occasion, you come across survivors being surrounded by a group of zombies. It seems so out of place because, in most cases, the zombies can never touch them, so they're there for the sake of giving you bonus prestige points. You're given side missions from time to time, and they can also reward you with new combinations as well as people to join your posse. The survivors act really dumb. Having people follow me around doesn't help me in any way, and they just end up dying. There's absolutely no reason for me to have a posse. I can jump through the thickest cluster of zombies without taking too much damage, if any. Of course, it doesn't try to be a super realistic zombie survival simulator. It's supposed to be a silly, over-the-top game with crazy fun stuff. I would think the Survivor AI would participate in this silliness. If I can clear an entire crowd with a katana, so should they. I've come to expect this sort of gameplay from console games these days, but when these games are ported to the PC, I would hope they would at least take into account the hardware. There are times when the game would dip below 20 frames per second for me. I understand the frame rate dropping when there's hundreds of zombies on the screen, but when I'm indoors, what the hell is being rendered? I've played with the video options and there's occasionally something that would kill my frame rate for a few seconds at a time. The game is on an SSD, and I've played other big open world games before that stream in content. Poor optimization is the phrase being thrown around here. This really shouldn't be happening. I can achieve 60 frames per second at times if you remove the 30 FPS lock. Speaking of which, yes, the game is locked at 30 frames per second by default. You can remove it by creating a config file in the game directory, but then you have to wonder, why do we have to do this? It doesn't end there. The controls are terrible. Yes, you can rebind the keys, but you have mouse acceleration. This makes it difficult to aim properly, and I don't know why these AAA developers insist on having it. It does nothing for us except to make us play worse. The radial item selection is an aggravating problem. I find it difficult to select items with the number keys when they're laid out in a circle. They should be shown side by side to correspond with the layout of the number keys on the keyboard, just like every other PC game out there. The whole game is designed for a controller and doesn't take full advantage of the speed and precision of a mouse and keyboard. But most of the time, the frame rate is somewhere below 30 frames per second, and with the terrible controls, it just feels so sluggish to play this, and it's difficult for me to enjoy this when I'm looking at an ultra cinematic slideshow that behaves so erratically. The field of view is terrible and unchangeable. Some of you may even get motion sickness unless you play on a TV and sit on a couch some distance away. The gameplay itself isn't really that great either. I don't feel like I'm progressing as a player or accomplishing anything. I'm going to different points on the map to do chores and see more cutscenes. That's it. It's a shallow console game. Again, it's supposed to be a silly, over-the-top game with crazy fun stuff, yet so many problems with the game interfere with it, and these problems should not even be here. So going from Xbox One to PC, how will this do in the video game market? After playing the game, I read the reviews and the general opinion of the game. In a few weeks, I think the game is dead. No pun intended. Or was it? Either way, it's as terrible as this game. As far as I can tell, the game is already dead on console. People mainly bought it because it's one of the first few games on Xbox One. Now they've moved on to playing other games. We have thousands of games on PC. We're not exactly short on entertainment here, so it's going to die even faster. Despite that, I'm sure we'll see a few mods that fix some of these issues, because that always happens. In a few months, the game is still dead. The Apocalypse Edition includes all the DLC that's been released, so I don't think there will be any more. And I highly doubt the game will be optimized because there's no more money for them to make. What you see is what you get. There's no reason to stick around or form a community for this game. It seems to me the whole point of the PC release is to take our money without catering to the needs of the PC market. This has "designed for consoles" written all over it. There was an interview with the lead producer for the game during E3, and he was talking about how this was going to be a true PC game and not a simple port they send out the door. I played this game for 10 hours. I'm almost done the campaign. This does not feel like a true PC game. It feels like a simple port they sent out the door. And even if we remove the technical details from the discussion, the game itself is brainless fun. There's no survival or horror. You kill stuff and they die, just like in thousands of other games on the market. Maybe it was a good game on the Xbox One. They certainly know their audience, and it sold over 1 million copies. But this game is now on PC. We set that bar high, and it doesn't seem like they can be bothered to reach it. It's $50 on Steam, so I can't even justify the price. I don't recommend this, and I really don't feel like following up on it either. Well, I guess I have to anyway.